Tarik. We're glad to hear that you were able to make it onto your flight. There were some issues there. We're glad you made it back.
You know, guys, what I always underestimate about the Montreal airport is how long the customs line is. And, unfortunately, I got a little stuck, but I did make my flight.
Oh, good to hear. So this is a chippy series at this point.
Sure.
To say the least, right?
Each team was fined $25,000 for players' antics during warm-ups before Game 4. Are we going to see that spill over into Game 5 on Wednesday night at Capital One? I mean, the tempers are boiling on both sides, it seems like.
I think there's the potential for it. We did see yesterday that Jack Eye and McElrath both got fined, $25,000 for some antics during warm-up. I remember, I think I saw what happened. I think they kind of lightly slashed each other on the shin pad as they were both patrolling the red line. But if you rewind a little bit, after the Josh Anderson, Tom Wilson incident in Game 3, the NHL actually called both general managers and said, guys, this has the potential to get ugly. We are seeing stuff during TV timeouts that should not be occurring. I think Logan Thompson got bumped by a Habs player at the benches during a TV timeout. There's stuff that's happening at the end of periods. We need to turn the temperature down a little bit in those moments. We don't care if you want to talk trash during the game, if you want to have big hits, if you want to have post-whistle scrums. As long as it's happening during the course of the hockey game, that's fine. We are concerned that something stupid is going to happen during warm-ups or a TV timeout and lead to something ugly and something that the NHL does not want happening. I said, we are going to be watching this very closely in Game 4. We will hand out fines if we don't like what we see, and that's what they did. And so you hope. I mean, I as a hockey fan, I mean, I love the rough stuff. I even like the sideshow stuff a little bit, particularly in playoff series. But I do understand the NHL stance that they just don't want an ugly incident like the one they saw with Wilson and Anderson.
Right.
That was at the end of a period. That could have gotten really dangerous, right? There were skates flying up in the air, equipment managers and coaches right there. They want to avoid that kind of stuff from boiling over. And maybe those fines they handed out yesterday, it's a lot of money, even to millionaire athletes. Maybe that helps, dial back some of the antics between the stoppages.
Doesn't it seem like the Canadian players are kind of instigating it, though? They're trying to rein them in and to force these things. That's just the way especially in Game 3, that's the way I took it.
I don't think you're wrong, and I think you see this a lot in pro sports, particularly in the playoffs, when you have an underdog playing a team that has more depth and is supposed to win the series, right? One of the ways an underdog can flip a series on its ear is by taking liberties, by getting the better team to take the bait and get distracted and start focusing on the sideshow stuff as opposed to scoring goals. And I do think there's something to that, and I feel like the Capitals did a better job, particularly after the warm-up stuff yesterday in Game 4, of not taking that bait and being a little bit more dialed in on the game. The atmosphere there is also just insane. It's the loudest place I've ever been, and I feel like that also served as a bit of a distraction. And when the Capitals came out more focused, and particularly when they took the lead in the third period, that really dials that advantage back, too, for the Habs. So, now they're back on home ice. We'll see what unfolds in Game 5, but I feel like the momentum has swung totally back in the Capitals' favor.
Tarik, take me through the Tom Wilson hit that changed the complexion of Game 4. I can't be objective about it. I'm a Willie Mark. Like, some of the guys in the room thought it was a borderline penalty, like he should have been thrown in the box for that. I thought it was a clean hit. Take me through the hit. Was it completely legal? And look, Tom Wilson has a reputation, like if he comes in with a borderline hit like that he's going to get penalized and or fined and or suspended. What did you think from the hit on Carrier?
Clean hit. Vicious hit, but clean. Carrier touched the puck. He moved the puck. And at the last second saw Tom coming and changed the angle of his body and his upper torso to maybe absorb some of that blow. And Tom Wilson, 6'4", 240 pounds, and came through with a clean hit that, in my opinion, changed the game and potentially changed the series because, the Duham goal that tied the game came on that same play.
Right.
And that's what a guy like Tom Wilson brings to the ice, guys. I know it's a cliche, and people call him a unicorn, and they say that 31 fan bases hate him and one fan base loves him, but everyone would love to have him on their team, and it's absolutely true. And the thing about Wilson is, and this is where, as a person who's covered him now for the entirety of his career, you really have to kind of take your hat off to him. He has changed his game to the extent where he is not the type of physical threat that he was earlier on his career when he was getting in trouble with the league. It seemed like every other month. But he still has the reputation that keeps everyone's head on a swivel on the other team. And it's just like it's a hit like that. He's had some big hits in the series, but that hit right there is going to get everyone on his line an extra 6 feet of space going forward because everyone knows that 43 can still lower the boom, and he does it cleanly now. He toes the line without crossing it, and he just is the type of player that wins playoff series for you. And, there's another win that still has to be put in the books, but that hit, vicious, hard, clean, game-changing, and potentially series-changing hit. That's the definition of Tom Wilson.